Hello and welcome to SteadyStep English. I'm your guide to learning English, clearly and calmly.
And I'm your learning partner. I'm here to explore the language and the culture right along with you.
Today, we're going to try something a little different. We're not just going to study English. We're going to travel.
Travel?
Yes. I want you to use your imagination. Maybe close your eyes for just a moment. And imagine. The year is 1926.
1926. Wow. That's exactly 1 century ago. It feels like a very long time.
It is a long time, but in some ways it feels very close. Imagine you're standing on a street in New York City. The buildings are tall. The energy it's high. But what's missing?
Well, no smartphones.
No smartphones in people's hands. No screens glowing in the windows.
It must have been so quiet without all the, electronic noise we have today.
Actually, it's not quiet at all. It's loud. There's music pouring out of the windows. It's fast and a little chaotic, but beautiful. It's jazz.
Yes, jazz. The kind of the heartbeat of the 1920s.
Exactly. This era is often called the Roaring Twenties. Have you ever heard a lion roar?
I have, yes. A powerful sound. Very deep and loud.
That's the feeling of this decade. It was roaring with money. It was roaring with change. It was roaring with a new kind of freedom.
That's a really vivid description. I usually just think of the 1920s as, old history. But when you describe it like that, it sounds more like a teenager rebelling against their parents.
That is a perfect comparison, yes. The generation before, the Victorians, they were very strict, very quiet and serious.
And the people of the 1920s wanted to break the rules.
They wanted to dance. They wanted to drive fast cars. They wanted to live for today.
I suppose after a big war, people just want to feel alive.
Yes. But, even though it sounds exciting, we're not actually there.
Right. We're sitting here, safe in the modern world.
We're just imagining it.
True.
And this brings us to a really special part of English grammar. We need a way to talk about this imagination, this situation that isn't real.
I see what you mean. I can't say I live in 1926.
But that's not true.
It's a lie, yeah. So how do we express that unreal feeling?
We use a structure called the second conditional. It sounds technical, I know, but it's very logical.
Is this the one that uses the word if?
Yes. We start with if, and then here's the secret. We use the past tense.
Wait, the past tense? But I'm imagining it right now, in the present. Why would I use the past?
That's the most common question. We use the past tense words like lived or had or went to show distance.
Distance?
Not distance in time. Distance from reality.
Oh, that's a fascinating way to think about it. The past tense creates a space. It shows the idea is far away from the truth.
Precisely. So if you want to imagine your life on that loud, exciting street in New York, how would you start the sentence?
Okay. I would say, if I lived in 1926.
Perfect. If I lived, you use the past tense. Now the second part, the result of living there. For the result, we use the word would.
Okay. Let me try the whole thing. If I lived in 1926, I would dance the Charleston every night.
That is a wonderful sentence. If I lived sets the imaginary scene. I would dance tells us the result.
Okay, your turn.
All right. If I were a woman in the 1920s, I would cut my hair short.
Hold on. You said if I were? I thought for the past tense is was. I was happy. Why did you say were?
You have a very sharp ear.
Yeah.
That's a special little rule for the second conditional. When we're talking about imaginary situations, we often change was to were.
For I.
For I, yes. It just sounds a bit more correct, more formal. If I were you. If I were the...
It sounds a bit more poetic, too, if I were a rich man.
Exactly. It signals that we're in a dream world. So let's stay in this dream world for a minute. Let's talk about technology.
Or the lack of technology.
Right. If I lived in 1926, I would not have a smartphone. I wouldn't have Google Maps.
That sounds terrifying to me. If I were lost in a city, I would, use a paper map? I haven't used a paper map in 10 years.
It would be a challenge. But they did have new technology. This was the decade of the radio.
Ah, the radio. That was kind of the internet of the 1920s, wasn't it?
It really was. Before then, if you wanted to hear music, you had to play it yourself.
Or go to a concert.
Yes. And suddenly, you could turn a box on in your living room, and the world came to you.
So families would actually sit around the radio together?
They would. If I lived then, I would listen to the news every evening and connected people.
And what about cars? The Model T Ford was famous then.
Cars became affordable. For the first time, normal people could buy them. This changed everything.
It was freedom. If I owned a car in 1926, I would drive to the beach every single weekend.
You see, you're using the grammar perfectly now. If I owned, I would drive.
It's starting to feel natural. But we're making this sound very nice. Jazz, cars, radio, was everything good?
No, definitely not. There is a dark side to this time travel, and it involves your health.
I'm guessing doctors weren't as advanced as they are today.
That's putting it mildly. Imagine you're cooking dinner, you accidentally cut your finger with a knife.
Ouch, okay. I wash it, put a bandage on it, heals in a few days.
Today, yes. But in 1926, that small cut could get infected. And here is the scary part. There were no antibiotics.
No antibiotics at all, no penicillin.
None. That was discovered later. In the Roaring '20s, a simple infection could kill you. If you got sick, it was very, very dangerous.
That changes my whole perspective. If I got an infection in 1926, I would be terrified.
You would have good reason to be. The average time people lived was much shorter.
We forget how lucky we are. We see the beautiful clothes and the parties, but we forget the danger.
And speaking of parties, there's another very strange thing about the 1920s. We talked about all the excitement, but did you know alcohol was illegal?
I have heard of this. It was called Prohibition, right?
Yes, Prohibition. The government decided alcohol was bad for society, so they passed a law. It was illegal to make it, to sell it, to move it.
That seems impossible. Did people really stop drinking?
Well, what do you think? If the government told you today that coffee was illegal, would you stop drinking coffee?
If coffee were illegal? I would probably find a way to get it secretly. I really need my coffee.
And that's exactly what happened with alcohol. People didn't stop. They just went underground.
They created secret bars, speakeasies. I love that name.
Yes, because you had to speak easy, speak quietly, so the police wouldn't hear you.
It sounds like something from a movie.
It was very dramatic. If I lived during Prohibition, I might go to a speakeasy. I'd knock on a secret door, whisper a password.
And inside, there would be music and dancing. It almost adds to the excitement, doesn't it, breaking the rules?
It does, but it also created crime. Because alcohol was illegal, criminals started selling it.
Right, the famous gangsters.
They made a lot of money. It was a time of contradictions. The government was trying to be very moral, and the people were breaking the laws.
It seems like a very stressful time to live.
It was. In other ways, too. We need a reality check.
A reality check.
Yes. We have to stop imagining the parties from books like The Great Gatsby, champagne and diamonds.
Yeah.
But that was only for the very rich. Exactly. If you were a normal person, your life was hard labor.
Let's think about the house. Today, I put my clothes in a washing machine and press a button.
If you lived in 1926, you would wash your clothes by hand, you'd scrub them. It would take hours.
No dishwashers, no robot vacuums, I suppose.
No refrigerators. In many homes, you had an ice box. A man would literally deliver a block of ice to your house.
That just sounds like a full-time job, just keeping the house running.
It was. And if you worked outside the home, it was probably in a factory. Loud, dirty, dangerous.
So if I were a worker in the 1920s, I would come home exhausted every single day.
You'd be too tired to dance the Charleston. You would probably just want to sleep.
This paints a very different picture. So we have the glamour, the jazz, the rebellion, but also the fear of sickness and the exhaustion of hard work.
That's the reality of history. It's never just one thing. It's complicated.
So I have to ask the big question. We've learned the grammar. We've imagined the world. Would you go back?
If I had a time machine.
Yes. If you could press a button and live in 1926, would you do it?
I love the style, the hats, the dresses. I love the music. But I'm a woman, and life was still very limited for women then. And honestly, I'm very afraid of the dentist. Have you seen the dental tools from the 1920s? They are terrifying.
That's a very specific fear, but I get it.
So my answer is no. If I could visit for one night, I would go to a jazz club. But I wouldn't want to live there. What about you?
I'm with you. I love the idea of it. I think our modern world is a bit too loud, with digital noise. A break from my phone would be nice. But I like antibiotics. I like my washing machine. And I like air conditioning.
Ah, yes. Air conditioning. That's a very good point.
So if I had to choose, I would stay right here in the present.
I think that's a wise choice. The past is a nice place to visit in our minds, but the present is the best place to live.
Before we finish, I want to ask you, the listener, to think about this. Use the grammar we practiced. Ask yourself, if I could travel to the 1920s, what would I do?
Would you dance? Would you drive a Model T car? Or would you miss your computer too much?
Try to make one sentence in your head. Start with if I, and finish with I would.
We've covered a lot today. We traveled through time, explored new grammar, and we looked at the reality of life a century ago.
It was a great journey. I feel like I understand the Roaring '20s so much better now.
Let's slow down for just a moment. I want to summarize the most important things we learned. First, we traveled back 1 century to the Roaring '20s, a time of rebellion and energy after the quiet Victorian era. Second, we learned about the ban on alcohol called prohibition, which actually created secret parties called speakeasies. Third, we discovered that despite the fun inventions like radio and cars, life was dangerous without antibiotics and hard without home appliances. Finally, and most importantly, we practiced the second conditional. We learned to use the past tense, if I lived, to talk about imaginary situations.
That was a clear summary. Now, are you ready for my favorite part of the show?
I believe I am. It's time for our vocabulary word tour.
We selected 10 key words from our conversation. We want to make sure you understand them perfectly.
Here is how it works. I'll say the word. My partner here will give you a simple definition, and then I'll give you one example sentence.
Let's begin.
Number 1,
Decade.
a period of 10 years.
The 1920s was an exciting decade for music and culture. Number 2, century.
A period of 100 years.
We are looking back at a century of history to see how things have changed. Number 3, roaring, making a loud, deep sound. In this context, it means full of energy, money, and excitement.
The Roaring '20s were full of loud music and fast changes. Number 4, prohibition.
A law that does not allow something. Specifically, the law that banned alcohol in the 1920s.
During Prohibition, it was illegal to buy or sell wine and beer. Number 5, invention.
A new machine, tool, or process that someone creates for the first time.
The radio was a magical invention that brought news into the home. Number 6, antibiotics.
Medicine used to kill bacteria and cure infection.
If you had a serious cut in 1920, you could not take antibiotics to heal it. Number 7, jazz.
A style of music with strong rhythms and improvisation that became famous in the 1920s.
The young people danced to jazz music until the sun came up. Number 8, imaginary.
Something that is not real, it exists only in your mind or in a story.
Using a time machine is an imaginary situation. Number 9, reality.
The way things actually are, or the truth, not how we imagine them to be.
The reality of factory work was very different from the glamour of the movies. Number 10, vote.
To make a formal choice between 2 or more options.
If I had to vote, I would choose to live in the modern world. That's it for today. Remember, every minute you spend listening is a step closer to fluency. If you enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe and join our learning community. Before you go, I have a challenge for you. Write one new word you learned today in the comment field below. I will see you on our next episode at SteadyStep English.